What is going on, Shop Nation? This is your dude, Shop Master. Welcome back to part 2 of This Is How Madden Franchise Should Be. And today we're going to talk about CFM startup. Now, before I get into Deuce Douglas's article on Operation Sports where he talks about the CFM startup, let me just say this. I think EA needs to sort of revise how they have commissioners start their 32 or online CFMs. Right now, you can't invite everybody that you want into your CFM before you start the league. So right now, as soon as a commissioner creates the league starts, and it allows the computer to do a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of nonsense that the commissioner really doesn't want before he can get users in to take over those teams. Now, I know why EA does this. It's because they're trying to, sort of start up their onboarding. And right now, before they did it this way, they used to let you invite everybody you needed to invite and then start the league. But they were seeing that a lot of leagues weren't started, and I think they were concerned about their numbers as far as it's showing that, hold on, you got all these, CFMs that have been created, but they haven't been started. And so I would just say to EA, look, it's not about the numbers, it's about getting it right. And the commissioners need a way to start their league after they invite everybody that they want in their league, so they don't have to do a whole bunch of roster editing and managing before they really start their season. So I just wanted to get that out there. So let's get started. And we're going to talk about CFM startup and the character selection. Now, I've done a video on this, on especially like coach creation and how there needs to be, more options for this. And you can check that video in the link above. Just click the I and it'll be a link to my video. But let's take a look, because Deuce Douglas sort of introduces some new things to franchise mode in Madden. And the new things he adds is commissioners, GM, and coordinators as people that you can play to start your CFM. So let's first just go ahead and take a look at the commissioner. Now the commissioner, it says the league is your playground, control every aspect for one team or the entire league with only one profile required, as much or as little control as you like, always available at your fingertips. Now the commissioner, there's a lot of guys who play offline CFM who love to take control of everybody, every team in their franchise, and it was a pain having to have multiple profiles to do this. So I agree, allowing just to have one profile but control all 32 teams with a single profile is a godsend for any offline franchise player or online franchise player that wants to do this. All right, the next one is the GM. So basically the next one is the owner. And we know what the owner mode is. Control your team from the owner's box with all the organizational management you desire, hire and fire coaches, sign and trade players, and deal with all the financial intricacies of owning an NFL organization. Now, that's what we have right now. And then the next one is GM. Now the GM is basically owner mode without all of the pointless financial stuff. You still are able to hire and fire coaches and have complete control over all roster management aspects. He says, I think this should actually straighten up or replace owner mode, but that would kind of leave relocation out to dry, and I don't want that to be the case. Yes, so in owner mode, I think you should be able to relocate, whereas if you're just a general manager, you shouldn't. And what he has for a general manager is shape every aspect of your organization, from hiring a head coach and staff to the last member of your practice squad. Every bit of success or failure experienced on the field are a direct result of your decisions off it. All right, so the next one after GM is head coach. And this is pretty much straightforward. The spotlight is all on you. Take control of an NFL team and embark on the quest for multiple Super Bowl titles. Enjoy all the same organizational management capabilities as the GM while leading your team into battle. So that's pretty much straightforward, sort of what we have today. Now this next one I think is very interesting, and it's the coordinator. Now you can play franchise as a coordinator in the NFL and try to work your way to a head coaching job. Playing as a coordinator would focus your gameplay on one side of the ball, but it would also allow you to play the entire games if you choose. You'd also be in charge of preparing your given unit each week. So I love the coordinator role, but I wouldn't give them a choice to play both sides of the ball. You know, if you want to be a coach and play both and call both sides of the ball, then you can do that. But if you want to be a coordinator, then you can only pick one side of the ball. And I think that would make for an interesting story. And I really like that option, and something that I hope EA considers. So again, it says coordinator, take over one side of the ball and begin your quest of being an NFL head coach. Game plan, practice, and play as either offense or defense as you earn your stripes for the opportunity to become the next leader of an NFL franchise. Now, it would be cool if also like maybe the head coach got fired and the owner was like, you know what, get rid of all of their coordinators. And then you had to go to another team and sort of build yourself up. I love the RPG kind of aspect of it. And then the final one is player, of course. Enter the league as a rookie or take over a current NFL star and attempt to cement your legacy as one of the greatest to play and be forever immortalized with a bust in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So that would be awesome as well if you could play through your whole career, and then at the end there's sort of a Hall of Fame ceremony if you're good enough. Now he then goes on and talks about the starting point. And he says currently the only options are to start at the beginning of the preseason or regular season, and he'd like to see this taken a step further, offer the ability to start in the off season prior to the current season and allow the user to alter the NFL's reality to start your CFM. So he talks about, you know, maybe starting before the draft, maybe starting at free agency. What I would like to see is you start right after the Super Bowl. Like right after the Super Bowl, you start your CFM. That way you have control over the free agents that come in. You have control over draft picks and the draft itself. And it allows you to sort of change that reality. But I do believe that just having an option to start no matter what is what needs to happen. Again, you know me, I'm more options the better. All right, and the last thing we're going to talk about in this episode is the different styles of CFM. Now these are not game styles. So when we talk about arcade versus simulation and season mode and live CFM, when we talk about arcade and simulation, we're not talking about the game style. We're talking about the CFM style, and you'll kind of understand as we go through this. Now arcade, you know, this setting is a little different than previously. So it says this setting would default to having things like the salary cap off, as well as trade and negotiation difficulty set to easy. Other settings such as wear and tear and stamina injuries, as well as some of the more intricate aspects of franchise mode, restricted free agent, compensatory picks, waiver wire, would default to off. This would be your freewheeling, fast-paced setting that prioritized a more fun experience focused on the short term rather than extended over multiple seasons. So I like that. It gives people an option. You know, there are some people who just want to, you know, go through, you know, the franchise, make some trades, do some, you know, some negotiations, but not everything, and that's it. Then the next option for arcade versus simulation, the next starting point would be simulation. That's an option. This would be for hardcore franchise players. Trade and negotiation difficulties would be defaulted to hard, and all intricacies would be included. This would be for the player looking to replicate the day-to-day workings and challenges of running a real NFL franchise. Then there's season mode. So season mode allows the user to play through a season without having to worry about anything but the games. The most simplistic way to play a season. They could also take this a step further, where you can play multiple seasons and still do things like the draft and just have all the scouting done and show full attributes and draft that way. The idea is just to create an even quicker and less meticulous way to play a season. And then you have live CFM. Play alongside the real NFL stats for the entirety of the NFL season. Take over a team or teams and change their reality while the rest of the league's stats and results mirror the current NFL season. So live CFM is something that they're actually doing this year. So guys, that's going to do it for, this video, the CFM startup. We went through the character selection. Which character selection makes more sense to you, or would you like to try out? Make sure you post that in the comments below. Let me know what you think as we move to part 3 and talk about the franchise settings. I wanted to do a whole separate video on that. So guys, do me a favor, stick that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go out to CFMMOVEMENT.com, show your love, sign up, post your CFM ideas in the forums, and let's prioritize those CFM rankings. This your dude, CFM Movement Stand Up. This your dude, Shopmaster. I'm out. Peace.